The second year of my master's program turns out to be the most beautiful time of my life. It soon becomes obvious to us that what we have between us is more than friendship. We spend every minute we can together. Others begin noticing it too. Whenever Alice visits me in my apartment, my roommates find excuses to leave so we can have the space to ourselves. She and I would both be finishing college that year, I with a master's and she with an undergraduate degree. It is not long before we start dreaming of a future together. As my reality with Alice blossoms, I am also painfully aware that I am reluctant to talk about us to my parents. Alice cannot understand why an independent adult would find the necessity to be bound so much by his parents' expectations. She asks me again and again to talk to my parents and lay it out in the open. I know I should listen to her, but every time that thought comes up, I think of my father's disapproval and my mother's disappointment. I tell Alice that I will talk about us at an appropriate time. Once I try introducing Alice to my parents as a friend. My father makes a veiled comment that discourages me from trying again. In reality, I am just a coward, and this cowardice will come to hurt me for the rest of my life. Alice takes me to meet her family for Thanksgiving that year. Hers is a middle-class family. Her father is an insurance salesman, and her mother is a nurse. They have lived in Baton Rouge all their lives. I can see that neither her parents nor her brothers are impressed by Alice's choice, but they welcome me into their home nonetheless. Alice is the youngest in their home, and her happiness matters to them. They ask me about my family, and if there is a possibility of connecting with them. I defer that to a different day. When college ends, I find a job in a small software startup in New Orleans. Alice starts a 1-year program for her teacher certification and finds a job as a teacher's aide to support herself. We find a small apartment in uptown New Orleans, a few blocks from the streetcar, and move in together. Life is beautiful for us. I continue to speak to my parents every week, but I decide not to visit India. Alice has given up trying to convince me to let my parents in on our relationship. That would have been the easiest and most meaningful thing to do, but I am lost in my dark imaginings. A year after we move in together, Alice and I start discussing marriage. She wants me to take her to India and introduce her to the world I grew up in before our wedding. I promise her that I would someday, but not yet. That day never happens. Alice is getting restless about my waiting for the right moment. We quarrel every time this topic comes up. Then we reconcile. There comes a point she does not care that I am not talking about us to my parents. I promise her that my issue with my parents will not come between us. She believes me. On a warm summer day in July, we get married. Her family, my friends, and us. It is a beautiful occasion. Everything is perfect, except that my parents are not there to bless us.